Right. And get us live on Facebook. There we go. Things being a little slow today. Stand by, everybody. Just waiting for Facebook to catch up with us so we can make sure this goes live in our Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters Facebook community. Excellent. So today, for the next episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast, we are going to be doing a new show that we're doing, 1% Better, where we're going to be diving deep into what's working right now to recruit top tier physical therapy talent to our practices so that we can build a world-class team, start to remove ourselves from the day-to-day work as business owners so that we can really focus on growing and scaling our practice. So the concept of 1% Better, if you are new to the show, is we're going to be sharing what is working right now and what we're experimenting with inside of our practice to grow and scale our business so that we can continue to serve our communities and achieve our own dreams as business owners. So today, Ben is going to be sharing what is working right now in 2024 to recruit the best talent that's out there, knowing that the majority of practices that are out there that are stuck because they've become the bottleneck within their own practice. They can't find the right people to hire to fit their team culture. And continue to grow and scale their practices. And so we're going to share what's been working in 2024, as well as what Ben is currently experimenting with inside of his practice to become more of an influence within his communities so that the top tier DPT students, as they graduate, are coming and contacting him for jobs. So super excited to dive in. If you get value out of this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to us on Spotify. So, Ben, how you feeling today, man?
Good. No, that's a topic that I know a lot of people, a lot of clinicals are struggling with across the board, probably more than anything else with regards to having a bottleneck within their practice. It's actually not patient acquisition. For a lot of clinic owners to really grow and scale, it's actually acquisition of talent. So excited to
That's
kind
right.
of talk about this and explain what we're doing and what's working for us.
Agreed. Can't wait to dive into this. So the vast majority of people that we've worked with for longer than 3 months, once we solve their lead acquisition problems, once we solve their conversions problems, the next thing that they run into are more operational issues of figuring out like, okay, how do I get my time back? How do I make my practice into an actual business that's a well-oiled machine? And then how do I get my own time back? And so what we found is a lot of our clients, they have found themselves in the position where they're now self-employed, where they are seeing all the patients, they're doing all the marketing, they're doing all the sales, and they are stretched so thin in their business. And this is the most dangerous stage to be in because anything that happens to you impacts the business, and your business's success is directly related to your time. Now, the only way to get out of that bottleneck is, of course, recruiting top talent so you can replace and delegate your responsibilities within the practice. You can focus on the higher level things. Right now, it's a hard time to find PTs, right, Ben?
Yeah, no, it's saw some stat in the last 2 or 3 years, 20% of physical therapists have left the profession due to burnout, and that is across all different aspects of PT. You know, that's acute care, that's home health, that's outpatient. I think that number is maybe even potentially double in the outpatient world. That's where most of the burnout is happening. Most people are actually transitioning like home health and these other aspects of PT and subcategories of PT. So I actually think the outpatient world is actually closer to that 30 or 40% of leaving the profession or transitioning away from outpatient at least to another sector of physical therapy. So it's really difficult to hire right now because of it.
Right. And some 21,000 physical therapists left the profession, meaning they didn't go find like home health jobs or anything like that. They actually left the industry for good, which is astonishing. given how much they've committed both in time and resources to getting their DPT and how dedicated they were to helping people. But the reality of the industry right now is that it's really hard to make a living and to make the kind of impact that people want to make. And so it's on us, the cash physical therapy entrepreneurs, to step up, to become influencers, to educate the students who are giving up so quickly in physical therapy that there is a better alternative. They don't need to see 15 to 30 patients a day. And it is very, very possible to find a job where you do get to work with the populations that you absolutely love. You get to spend an entire hour pouring your knowledge, your resources, and your energy into this person to change their life. There's just such a better way, and so many jobs that are out there that are exactly what a lot of these DPTs have been dreaming about, but very quickly start to think that it's all kind of a lie once they actually get into the industry, because it's just so hard to find the cash practices that are out there that can actually offer these jobs. Because frankly, the entrepreneurs that are out there, they're not doing enough to educate other physical therapists about the value of working at a cash practice. They're so focused on just building their own cash practice and kind of keeping everything hush out of fear that the people that they want to attract would just start their own cash practice. Not realizing that the vast majority, like I'm talking 95% of PTs that are out there, do not want to be business owners, nor have they ever considered it, and nor should they, because it's not who they are. And so we need to be more vocal and less fearful around educating people about cash physical therapy, other PTs about cash physical therapy, and what these jobs actually can look like, because we're losing incredibly talented PTs to other industries because they just don't understand other employment options that are out there. So Ben, what has been working so far in 2024 in terms of recruitment? Then we'll talk about some of the things that you're experimenting with.
Yeah, for sure. It used to be since I started practice 2018, it used to be simple as up until about 12 to 18 months ago, as simple as, you turn on Indeed ad or listing. Not even an ad, you don't have to put ad spend behind it. You just throw an Indeed listing up, maybe a LinkedIn post, and you're good. And you get applicants trickling in. That's not the case with what we're seeing anymore. And so there's a lot more manual things and other aspects of things that we're having to do to recruit. And I think we're at the forefront of this with this testing. And so I'm pretty excited to dive into it with you guys and share kind of there's been 3 things that we've implemented that's been different in the last 12 or 18 months that's been moving the needle.
Right. And so right now, everything's changing. Like how we used to market isn't working. How we used to sell is no longer working. How we're recruiting isn't working. We're at a really exciting stage in the physical therapy industry because everything is evolving. And those who don't keep up, those who aren't paying attention and keeping an ear to the ground on these shifts that are happening beneath our feet are going to fall behind. They're going to get beat out by those who are really focused on innovating and trying new things and really elevating the game to spread awareness both in recruitment and in terms of marketing for cash physical therapy. So Indeed and LinkedIn posts, they just don't work like they used to anymore. Do you have any theories as to why that is?
I think it's just that there's less people looking, primarily is a main thing. Just simply less volume, less people looking, more or less. A lot of people just left the profession. Primarily is my main hunch on it.
Yeah. So for those who are posting on Indeed and LinkedIn, are there any changes that you have made to your own LinkedIn and Indeed strategies that you found to be better than what you may have been using about 6 to 12 months ago?
Yeah, this is probably, so we've implemented 3 strategies, and this one is the one that has been effective, but not as effective as the other 2, but I'll highlight it. So it used to be that, you could just post an Indeed listing for free and you're good to go. We actually got this from Hormozy. A friend of mine went to his workshop for the weekend, and Will Shop, and he went to Hormozy's event, and he was saying that what Hormozy encourages people to do is do the free listing throughout the week, and then on the weekend you turn it to paid advertising, because that's when people are actually looking. That's where you're going to get your most bang for your buck. on Indeed is when you want those listings to be popping up as high as possible over the weekends, because that's when people are actually looking primarily. A lot of people aren't looking during the week, so you're paying for unnecessary ad spend during the week. So what we've been doing is we've been doing the free listing during the week, and then turning paid advertising on from Friday at noon up until Sunday evening.
Nice. And what kind of budget would you put on that?
We just went with the recommendation on Indeed. And that's the thing too about Indeed. It's, you guys might be listening now, or you guys might be listening down the road. Indeed switches their options on their paid advertising and what are different options all the time. Right now, what they have is they just have you get to this to the end of the posting, and they're like, what budget do you want to do? And they have like a recommended budget. I just go with the recommended because I'm sure that's probably satisfying their algorithm. And so I think right now it's like $47 estimated per day. And so we spend about $150 a weekend, more or less. Right now, how it's set up is you're actually paying per click, not per impression, per click. And so it can go up higher, but on average, it's right around $50 a day is our budget right now on it.
Very good. And any changes in the approach that you're putting into the actual job posting itself?
Yeah, actually something we taught at the Miami live event, GPT, through in a chat GPT prompt, and we've tested that and used that. And another thing that we're doing is we're creating multiple listings. So we have a listing for physical therapist. We have a listing for sports physical therapist. We have a listing for pelvic health physical therapist, right? So we're creating more. Pretty much they're very similar job positions, but they're slightly different. And the more positions that you can have listed, the more likely that people are going to see those, obviously. So we create a spin-off of each varying position that we have open. It used to be that we just post physical therapist.
Yeah.
Now we're kind of branching into ortho physical therapist, sports physical therapist, public health, women's health, something like that.
Right. So people are really craving specificity. Like they want as much transparency as possible. What about pay and compensation? How are those playing into the job posting?
Yeah, that's the thing too, is we go and look at different other postings across the board for our competitors and what they're offering, and we go right at the same point. But the thing is, like, they can't. When it comes to employment, you can either make concessions on pay or environment, and my argument is like we pay probably top 90% in the Bay Area, but not because we really need to. Like, these other positions can't compete with us. Like, everybody, like, there's been a lot of physical therapists that work for me right now that used to work at Kaiser. Kaiser is a big medical system on the West Coast, and they pay like 135,000. Like, we don't offer that. But everybody, those people that came from Kaiser, they took a pay cut because of the environment and the ability to treat the way they wanted to, and they felt that was justifiable and well more than worth it, and they've been super happy, right? So it's all about value. So you can match value and compensation, or you can match value in environment and or both, and all across the board. So that's what we try to do too.
Yeah. And I remember one of our clients, when they first started hiring, they were going to offer substantially more pay than they actually needed to, because they didn't take into account the lifestyle that working with them gets to have. And they wrongfully assumed that everyone chooses their job solely based off of that pay. And then they also projected what they would want their pay to be onto their prospects, not realizing that you're an entrepreneur. You think at a slightly higher level than most other people do. And so we can't apply what we would want to other people all the time. Now, obviously, we want to treat people how we want to be treated, all that good stuff. But at the same time, we got to realize that the skill sets and the knowledge that we have gives us the ability to demand more. And so a lot of people putting their job posts out there, they're offering too much, at least a lot more than they need to. And it's preventing a lot of people from even starting the hiring process, because they think they have to offer more than they actually need to. So for those of you who are listening, in your job posting, just realize, I don't remember exactly how much we saved this person, but I believe it was like 15 to 20 grand a year. We ended up saving this person, and that the person ended up recruiting someone who's still a great fit, that's still in their practice, killing it today, selling cash packages. So keep that in mind as you put together your offers and really lean into the lifestyle and the work-life balance people get to have working with you versus the alternative.
Yep. Yep. And we also use it as a weed out process too. Like if somebody's going to choose an extra $3,000 to work at let's say we offer 100,000. Another clinic across the street offers 103,000 that takes insurance, and they got to see 15 to 20 patients a day. And they ultimately choose the $3,000 over our environment. We know it wasn't the right fit. They didn't value what we do. So it's also a great way to weed out the wrong fits as well.
Right.
You're gonna more or less sell your soul, in my opinion, for $3,000. And have to suffer an insurance-based clinic. You didn't value what we do here.
Right. It's crazy. And people got to frame it this way. It's like, yeah, you might get an extra $2-3 grand a month, but what is that costing them? What's the opportunity cost with their loved ones, with the experiences that they get to go and have in life when they have that additional time, when they have that additional energy every single day to put into other areas of business outside of just being a physical therapist? And that's a sad reality that a lot of PTs have when they spend too much time at an in-network clinic where they're seeing 15 to 20 patients a day, where they put so much energy into being a PT every single day that they forget that they're more than just a physical therapist. And we find a lot of people after they spend 15, 20 years, or even just like 5 years in that space, they lose such a big part of themselves. And they actually require a lot of like self-work and some coaching to help remind them that there's more to life than just working. And the more you're able to round yourself out, the more you're able to pour into your patients because you're a happy, balanced individual. And so there's just so much to be said about that. So as owners, we need to be aware of that because the people that we're trying to recruit also need to be led. People are craving leadership today because everyone either just forces them into situations they don't want to be in, or is just pulling them in the complete opposite direction away from the industry. And they want some leadership within physical therapy to show them that there is a better way to live, there is a better way to treat, and there are jobs that are out there that can give you both of those things. And some people just don't see it yet. And so as entrepreneurs and leaders, we also have to learn how to articulate how it is that working with us is going to benefit those people. And we need to be comfortable enough to kind of challenge them sometimes on the philosophies that they might be having in how they're making their decisions. And so we have to be willing to have those difficult conversations to help people save themselves from themselves at time, especially when we talk to them about what they want out of life as a part of the interview process. And if they're choosing a path that isn't really aligning with what they truly want, there's fear and false beliefs there that should be addressed, that, you know, if you're not, you're going to miss out on some really, really good talent. So anyway, I digress. So let's go back to talking about Indeed and LinkedIn. I know one thing that we were experimenting with for the last several months, and I'm dying to know what the results were and how it went, was getting out of LinkedIn and Indeed and actually finding the Instagram and social media profiles of the people that we're working towards recruiting and actually contacting them there. Could you explain that strategy a little bit deeper, and then let's talk about how it went?
Yeah. So for the practice, we've never generated a very high volume amount of people from our social media for new patients. We've actually switched our Instagram strategy and our social media strategy actually to be a recruitment tool, not a patient generation tool. So what we focus on our Instagram account now is, and you guys will see why we're focusing on Instagram in just a second based on our reach outs, but we've transitioned to like focusing on our culture, showcasing our staff, you know, showcasing patient wins, like the environment that they, like the gym space that they would get, like that we work in, showing them that type of stuff. And so what we do is we use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's about, I think it's $199 a month. It's either $99 a month or $199. I have to double check. But what we do, what LinkedIn Sales Navigator does and allows you to do is it allows you to search for physical therapists in your area. And you can break it down by like, hey, do they have their OCS? Do you have their SCS? How many years post-grad are they? Are they a new grad? There's a lot of different filters that you can do. You can break it down by zip code. You can break it down by city, town, what have you. And so what we started with is focusing on Oakland. And we focused on people that we started really niche down. Like we know that people have their CSCS they really enjoy like the strength component aspects. We really niched down on that. We did that search, and then we came up, I think there was like 25 people in the Oakland area that had their CSCS, and so and also their physical therapy license. And what we did is you can do two different approaches. We're testing both. One where you go and take that name and you go search them, find them on Instagram, and you follow them. Okay, and then you can start engaging in their content, just getting them aware of who you are, because they're like, oh, ProConnect's followed you. All right, well, what's ProConnect's physical therapy all about?
Yeah.
And they see that we're in Oakland, and they start going through our posts and see like what it's like to work with us as a clinician. They see our clinicians being showcase, stuff like that. So they get curious. So you can just sit there and kind of like engage with them, like some of their posts here and there. Or you can also, and this is the approach that we're taking primarily, is reaching out to them, saying, hey, so-and-so came across your profile on LinkedIn. I really liked X, Y, and Z about your profile and think you could be a potential great fit for our practice. This is what we're all about. Is this something be worth discussing further? As well. So we're doing manual reach outs from those LinkedIn. LinkedIn Sales Navigators gives you what's called 30 in-mails per month, which means pretty much you can message them on LinkedIn directly. But those 30 go pretty quickly. And the open rate on those are like 10 to 20% across the board historically on LinkedIn. So we're finding that the Instagram open rate is way higher, and the response rate is greater there too. So from that, we started doing that strategy in the last 3 or 4 months. We've generated over 15 or 20 applicants from that process. So it's working really well. And I don't know of anybody else doing that right now. So I have other people test it.
And the thing that listeners, I want you to take away from this is that the people that you actually want to hire aren't looking for jobs. They are already working for someone else. The best talent that's out there are killing it at a current job right now, and they're not looking. And so we need to be proactive about using tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator that gives us more leverage into finding the people who are a great fit and contacting them directly to see if they're open to any new opportunities. I think it was Updoc Media's report on the Job Market Pulse, I believe it's called. And it stated that only about like 30% of PTs are actively looking for a new job, whereas close to 65 to 70% of people are open to the idea of working for a new job. So a lot of people, they want a new job. They just don't want to go through the burden of trying to find someone, trying to interview, and they're worried about kind of wiggling their way out, having one foot in, having one foot out, and endangering their current work situation. And so we need to be going out there and contacting and building relationships with the PTs that we want to have. And one other strategy that we've played around with that's worked well for our clients isn't just reaching out to them saying like, hey, like I saw your profile, I really love this about you. Are you open? Are you looking or interested in a potential position? Because I think you'd be a great fit over here. Taking kind of another way around that, so it's less headhuntery and a little bit more collaborative, and stating it's like, hey, I love X, Y, and Z about you. I know this school has a really, really good program. I see you already have a job, but I'm curious, do you know anyone else that may have came from your class that kind of has similar accolades as you that is looking for a job? And ask them for like an introduction. And what happens is that they're like, well, yes, I do, but like, tell me about the position. And so it's like this kind of backdoor way into poaching is kind of a tough word, but it's hard to argue that it's not kind of what it is. But you find that by asking for a referral to another person, a lot of the contacts you're contacting actually want more information for themselves. And so it comes off a little bit less aggressive, I'd say. And so I would test both of those things while we're doing this as well, if you're listening to this episode.
Yeah. And also back to the poaching thing, I say let the best man win. Like I dare you, go message my PTs, try and recruit them.
Yeah.
Let them work where they want to. If you got a good product, let people know about it, is how I feel about it. So that's my soapbox.
I love that. And I love that you brought up the fact that your business is a product. Your employees are your customers. And if people are stealing away your staff, or you're worried about people stealing your staff, that means the product you created as the business owner, your business, isn't that good of a product for your employees.
Yeah, you got bigger problems. You got bigger problems than poachers at that point, in my opinion.
Agreed. Really good point. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now to experiment with, so that when we do our next 1% Better episode, we can report back how it's been going. So what are you doing right now to experiment with recruitment?
Yeah, another thing we're doing is I went, this was actually 2 weekends ago, and this has worked out really well as well. We got three, maybe four, definitely three, maybe four. I have to go back and count. But we had three really solid applicants come from this approach. So what I did on a Sunday is I sat down and looked. There's 3 physical therapy schools around us, and we have a decent relationship with each of them. We've taken students of theirs, and I was really surprised by this, on how robust their faculty page was. I thought, maybe they'll, list a chair, maybe some like the higher ups. They had every single person, every adjunct professor listed on that page. Like, I think each one, I think I calculated, messaged over 150 staff of these physical therapy schools, whether adjunct or chair, emailed each and every single one of them. Because there was 3 schools, and on average, each of them had about 50 different faculty listed, and all of them had their emails. Like, this is awesome. Like, I thought there'd be, just maybe a handful, but each school, I don't know if that's customary for every single faculty to be listed, but that's what we saw, 3 for 3. Every single faculty member was listed, no matter big or small. So I really sent them an email like, hey, you always want to like state things that you liked about them, and like, hey, we've hired on each of those 3 schools I reached out to. We've hired on a physical therapist from their school, and we highlight that, hey, we hired on a past student of your guys's, and we would love nothing more than to bring on other students from your guys' school. With that being said, we opened the position. These are some highlights of the position. Who do you know that might be a good fit, and this might be the right environment for them to work in? And so it's worked out really, really well from that. And that was 2 weeks ago. So we'll see how it pans out. Those three or four applicants are going through the interview process as we speak. So.
That's excellent. It's amazing. I'm excited to hear how that plays out. Something that might also be worth experimenting with, because you're reaching out to your current team's school potential, like their professors. Have you tried getting a warm introduction and having your team actually introduce you to one of the professors that they had the best relationship with?
Yep, we've done
that way.
Yep, we've done that too. Yep, and that got us access to a few different professors as well. So
right. Because that just builds so much more trust and authority right out of the gate, because they want to help their students a hell of a lot more than they want to help you.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, we try to also take it from a local approach. Like I mentioned, like, hey, we're local. We're just down like, there's a PT school that's just up the street from us. Like, hey, we're in Oakland, just down the street from you guys. We try and make it more personable as well, and local, and they want to help out the local individuals.
Beautiful. Well, I can't wait to see how this experiment checks out. On the next episode of 1% Better Every Day, we will report back what the findings have been from this, how well it worked, and then we'll give you what worked, what didn't about it, so that you can give this a test for yourself without making some of the mistakes that Ben may have made once he gets a little bit more data from this experiment. So everyone, thank you for listening. If you got value out of this episode and want to learn more about scaling your cash physical therapy practices, marketing, sales, and teams, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on alerts so you get notified when we drop new training, new resources, and new guest interviews inside of this channel.